Hello, everyone. My name is Yushi Hajimoto, the Minister of Happy Science New York. Thank you all so much for joining today for our special Sunday service going YouTube Live for our first time. So sorry about the technical issues, but I think we are back on track. Before I begin, I would like to send our message of condolences for all the people out there who've lost their loved ones from this pandemic of the coronavirus. Also, for those of you who are in fear, for those of you who are having tough economical situations, I've heard there's millions of people here in the United States that filed for unemployment. There are a lot of these harsh realities going on around the world right now. So what I would like to do before we get into the contents of today's topic, which is coronavirus vaccine, it's in yourself. Before we get to that topic, I would like to recite one prayer for the whole world. It's a prayer called Come What May, a prayer given by Master Okawa. Come what may, Ryuho Okawa. Come what may, you are my sunshine. Come what may, you are my diamond. Come what may, you are my only teacher. So I love you, my master. So I believe what you talked about. Please save me, my master. Please help me, my master. You are the love. You are the peace. Please get rid of my sufferings. I believe you can do it because you are the Savior. Hope can defeat my setbacks. Come what may, I believe in you. Come what may, your truth shall prevail on earth. Come what may, you are the light of heaven. So I'm just following you. So I believe in your teachings for good and all. Right, thank you very much. So this Sunday service today, it's kind of like an open workshop. So we are inviting people from all over New York, all over the US, all over from the whole world actually. So there may be some of you who's watching today or after this is uploaded, after it's live, you'll be seeing Happy Science or knowing about Happy Science for your first time. So before we get into the main topic, let me just briefly explain to you two important things, which is who is Master Ryuho Okawa, who founded this religion called Happy Science, and then the basic teachings about Happy Science. So if you would look at the slide here. Who is Master Ryuho Okawa? He founded Happy Science on October 6, 1986. And as of now, he has published over 2,600 books. In 2010, in 1 year alone, he has published 52 books, which he won the Guinness World Record for publishing the most amount of books within a year. And then actually in 2013, he beat his own record by publishing 106 books in a year. And as of today, he has delivered more than 3,100 talks or lectures. Now, let me just show you a quick intro video of who Master Okawa is.
Hello, and thank you for accepting our invitation to happiness. Ryuho Okawa is known as a global visionary because of his deep spiritual insight and commitment to guide the world to a brighter future. To accomplish this, he founded Happy Science Group in 1986, which is now a global movement in over 100 countries. His vision and message to the world goes beyond the differences of race and language, empowering people with love.
All right. So, as you can see, he's a very famous religious leader in Japan. And you know how in my earlier slide I showed you that he's written over 2,600, or he's published over 2,600 books. I mean, the topics that he covers is absolutely phenomenal. If you look at the slide over here, this is actually a page from our book called The New Resurrection. It's about it's kind of like an autobiographical book of when he went through his experience of going through physical death and resurrecting from it. But at the back of this book, it shows how much Master has accomplished so far. And it's really astonishing how much topics he's covered in all of the books that he's written in the past. And as you can see, that's circled in the red. First, from the top left, he talks about what happens after death and what's the meaning of life. He talks about youth and agelessness. He talks about the true meanings of memorial services. And then, of course, recovering from illness, which is the main topic today. Going over to the top right, family issues, raising children successfully, developing good character, confidence, and tolerance, promotion, vocation and work, and management abilities, foresight on the future of international politics, reality of politics and economy not reported by the media, and lastly, the truth of the universe. So as you can see, he covers a wide range of topics, but 70%, roughly 70% of all of the teachings he has given is about the teachings of the mind, teachings of the heart, how to cultivate yourself to become better people, or how to solve the issues you're facing in your life, which we call life is a workbook of problems to be solved. And he gives us so many phenomenal hints about it. And I won't be able to cover all of it, so what's the basic? It's called the Fourfold Path. Let me show you a 3-minute video clip that explains the Fourfold Path.
What is happiness at Happy Science? The happiness taught at Happy Science is a unique happiness, which carries from this world to the other. We reside in a physical body, but we are in essence a spiritual being. There is more to this world than what we can see with our eyes. Beyond this physical world is a vast multidimensional spirit world. A large part of it is what we know as heaven. We are born numerous times, reincarnating between this world and the spirit world. Every single one of us was born from the heavenly world. Over the course of our lives, we meet various people, experience joys and sorrow, grow older, and then we return to the home of our souls. Why are we born into this world repeatedly? The reason is to go through life and come out shining even brighter, through accomplishing our missions and gaining new knowledge on Earth. And learning the truth at Happy Science is exactly what teaches us how. One method is through the Fourfold Path, which is love, wisdom, self-reflection, and progress. Love is to share love and joy without expecting anything in return. Most of life's suffering is actually caused by not being able to receive the love and joy we want from others. But this is a mindset of taking away happiness. The way to become truly happy is to think not about how you can get more love and happiness from others, but to switch your mindset to always thinking about how you can share it instead. The reason is because when you can view this spiritually, God's light shines upon those who practice the act of giving. Wisdom is to study the truth. Studying the truth will allow you to know the principles of the mind, acquire a spiritual view of life, and learn what is right and what is wrong in God's eyes. When you not only study the truth, but put it into practice, knowledge will transform into wisdom and become a part of you. And it is wisdom that allows you to find the answers and solutions to problems you couldn't solve in the past. Self-reflection is God's mercy. We all make mistakes, but when we self-reflect, examine our past mistakes and repent on them, our sins are forgiven. Humans make mistakes, but through self-reflection, God gives us the chance to start over again. Progress is to improve your soul and make it shine brilliantly. It is also to share the truth in order to help other people shine from their souls and together turn our society, nation, and world into an ideal place. What you just heard is only a portion of the vast teachings here at Happy Science. Happy Science offers many paths for people living in modern society to become happier.
All right, thank you very much. So, as you just saw, that was the basic teachings about Happy Science, the fourfold path. And by going through the process of the fourfold path, what happens is each individual be able to find something called enlightenment. Enlightenment is a power. It's a perspective that changes your life. By giving love, by gaining spiritual wisdom, by reflecting or repenting on your sins or your mistakes. And then from there, by becoming a spiritually positive person, showing influence in this world is progress. And also being happy even in the afterlife. That is the equation of happiness we have here in Happy Science. Now, let's look at this Happy Science teachings, how wonderful it is from the perspective of the mission of a religion. I would like you to see this slide. So Master Ryuho Okawa, in a couple of his lectures or books, he has explained to us the mission of a religion. Not just Happy Science, but religion as a whole. There's 3 missions, he said, or there's 3 things that we're trying to solve or help people. One is solving conflicts. One good book that's written by Master Ryuho Okawa that I recommend is the book on the top left of the screen right now, A Worry-Free Living. So what do I mean by the mission of a religion is to solve conflicts? Of course, there's a macro perspective of conflicts, conflicts between different nations or conflicts between different religions. But what I want to focus on today is he gives numerous teachings on how to overcome human relationship issues or human relationship conflicts. And although there are numerous teachings, as I said, Worry-Free Living is a really good go-to book. Let me just give you the gist of it so that you can feel how Happy Science's approach, Master Okawa's teachings, is like it's a very realistic approach to solve life's problems. So let's look at the human relationship one. It's page 70 of this book. Summing up, 4 keys to improving human relationships. 1, understanding that perceptions vary. Let me review what I have discussed so far in this chapter. The first basic aspect of building smooth relationships is to understand that there are individual differences in perceptions and ways of thinking. When we assume that others see things the way we do and think the way we think, we breed discord in our relationships. But gaining awareness of other people's different views and perspectives allows us to cultivate open-mindedness and a big heart. Me personally, because I'm the very passionate type, I do go through human relationship issues sometimes because I'm really hard-willed. But every time I go back to this teaching, every single person's perspective is different. It helps me push the brakes on just forcing or just say or to want to deliver what I want to say to the other person. So this is a very practical. It was a very practical step for my happiness. And then the second point, seeing others' strong points. He's saying don't focus on weakness of other people or not defects, but like other people's shortcomings. Instead, try to focus on their strengths. Try to focus on the things that they've helped you with. Try to focus on the things that the love they've given to you. This is just a switch of perspective, but it makes human relationships much smoother. And third one, acknowledging one another as individuals and being considerate of one another's space. So there's a saying that says, good neighbors, there's a fence between good neighbors, or something like that. So what this means is keeping a good distance with other people is also a technique of having good relationships. And then the fourth one he talks about is cultivate the heart that blesses the successful. Unfortunately, jealousy is a very negative energy that has been bringing a lot of suffering to humans' lives, from a individual level and also from the structure of a society when it comes to politics. But jealousy will never make you happier. And so what Master is telling us is instead of being jealous of the successful, accept the fact that they've done a great job and admire them, congratulate them. By doing so, what you're doing is you are switching your perspective of hating your ideal to wanting to become your ideal. You are jealous because you want to be like them. Therefore, switch the perspective. You see, very practical steps. Now going back to the screen, the next mission of a religion is solving poverty. A good go-to book would be Invincible Thinking. So I would like to read out loud one part from this book, page 125 of Invincible Thinking. 3 basic principles for building wealth. The first principle, practicing mindful economy is the first step to wealth. There are 3 basic principles of building wealth. The first, tried and true principle is practicing economy in your spending. Practicing thrift and cutting out wasteful spending is the starting point of saving money. If we constantly overspend our wealth on lavish purchases, we'll eventually exhaust the valuable wealth we worked hard to build. Sounds pretty obvious, but it's extremely important. I know here in America, we're living in a society of using credit cards. So you spend before you earn. Some people, unfortunately, has been intoxicated by this habit. I was once like that, so I understand the pain. But he's saying the first step is stop using wasteful money and respect the wealth you have. And the second principle, wealth gathers to those who have a purpose for it. The second principle of building wealth is that wealth comes to those who know how to put it to good use. Wealth doesn't grow in places that don't have a purpose, such as the middle of a barren field. So what he's saying is don't just have a vague thought of I want money, but for what? The more crystal clear the purpose is, you will be able to find how to save your wealth. And not only that, you'll start being able to find many investment opportunities from other people to your project. And then lastly, the third principle, those who give shall receive. This one is kind of hard to understand from a materialistic perspective, so I'm going to read 2 paragraphs out of this book. Please bear with me. This leads us to the third principle of building wealth, which is a spiritual principle that those who give shall also receive. You should use the wealth you gather to achieve aims that benefit people's lives and bring them happiness, not to serve your own interests. But by doing this, the wealth you give to others ultimately circulates back to you. Put more simply, the nature of wealth is that when you use it for your own sake, it tends to diminish, but when you use it for others' sake, it spreads and multiplies. The famous American industrialist Henry Ford was an automobile magnate who succeeded in amassing a huge fortune in his lifetime. The driving force that led him to this achievement was his passionate desire to open the world to a new age in which the average businessman and factory worker could own his, her, or her own car, and so could every other worker in the country. He dreamed of building an automobile that would be affordable to the average American worker, and he was able to make this dream a reality. end quote. So as you can see, the third way is wealth is, or money is something that's given to you if you do something beneficial for others. And I think this is a phenomenal philosophy that is taught, and it's true. And last but not least, what is the third mission of a religion? That comes to our main topic of today, helping people from illness. As I'm sure the one who's watching today on YouTube Live or YouTube later on, after this is recorded, I'm sure you are the ones who already have an affinity towards religion or spirituality. So you know that religion and spirituality or your mindset has the power to heal. But recently, what I've been noticing here doing my activities in New York, the world sometimes doesn't view it like that. What do I mean? So in today's New York Times paper, it's April 19th, Sunday, 2020, New York Times. You know how New York Times has like a lot of different papers on Sundays? In one of them, it's the Metropolitan section. The Metropolitan section. So this section is the section where it talks about local, I guess, things that are going on in New York City, or maybe New York State. I don't know, maybe New York City. But on the front page, they covered an article about Happy Science, New York Temple. And there are obviously so many things that are taught in that is written in this article that goes against the truth. It goes against the fact. A lot of them is made up, or shall I say, written in a way that leads the readers into the wrong direction. So one thing that I would like to counter this piece, this article, we're going to be actually having an official objection letter on our website. It'll be uploaded soon, so you'll be able to look at it more closely in that. But I just want to talk about one point today in my service. In this article, it kind of like operate. How should I say this? It's an impression operation as if Happy Science is a doomsday cult. But I would like to say we are not, and here's why. First of all, the cult part. We are trying to harmonize medicine and religion. So what does a cult do? I don't know the actual entity of this, but the name of the organization. But apparently in the United States of America, there is a cult, and in their teachings, you are not allowed to use Western medicine whatsoever. And there was a member of that, or a believer, I don't know what they call it, there was a believer in that cult who was taught that you're not allowed to use medicine. So he didn't use medicine, and then because of that, he passed away. And then I don't know if it's the wife or some other family member. The family member filed a lawsuit against them, and I think they won in the end. But that's what a cult does. A cult says everything else is wrong, and they force you what's right or what's their doctrine. However, here in Happy Science, what's the approach we take? Let's look at this book, Healing from Within. In the epilogue of this book, Master writes, "Modern medicine and religion," and I quote, "Understanding the relationship between modern medical science and religion is a difficult challenge. I believe that modern medicine is under heaven's guidance. The angels of light in the field of medical science, or the medical gods, as we call them, all have their spiritual roots in the god Hermes. Eastern medicine sometimes takes opposing approaches to the methods used in Western medicine. Its principles have spiritual roots in Taoism and Buddhism, as exemplified by the fact that medicine was often taught by monks and priests. Divine spirits in heaven have been actively assisting and supporting religious practices for healing illnesses. They have performed miracles from time to help people deepen their faith. What is important is that medical science and religion cooperate and collaborate with each other. Religious faith will enable physicians to use the power of the mind to heal more illnesses. It will also enable them at times to use the combined power of positive words and medication to miraculously cure even the most deadly diseases. Likewise, working with the positive aspects of medical science will allow religious practitioners to increase the number of souls they can save. It is my hope that medical science and religion help each other achieve their shared goal of bringing happiness to people. So, as you can see, here in Happy Science, we won't say that you are not allowed to take the flu shot. If you want to take the flu shot, please take it. It's helpful for you. You see, it's always the middle path that we take. But why are we working so hard to bring peace of mind to the world through the teachings of how to create a vaccine inside yourself spiritually against the coronavirus? Why are we doing this activity? Why are we holding this service today? Let's look at the world, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, from a material perspective, from the physical perspective, we do not have a vaccine yet for this virus. And we believe that there's also spiritual vaccines that have actually worked, which Ari, who will be giving the presentation of the main topic today, will be talking about a lot later. Therefore, we are working really hard to help people through these teachings to awaken to the fact that there are strong possibilities for you to be able to defeat the coronavirus by learning this truth and having faith in El Cantare. So that would be the end of my part. I would like to pass on the mic to Ari to get into today's main topic. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you, Yushi. Hello, everyone. My name is Ari. Thank you so much for joining us. And so, the coronavirus. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are very uncertain about this situation, and a lot of people have already lost loved ones. A lot of us are doing what we can to try to keep ourselves safe, keep our family safe. There are also a lot of workers who are essential workers going out and serving society, but I'm sure perhaps they are also harboring feelings of uncertainty as well. Right now, we don't have a vaccine for the coronavirus yet, but already in Happy Science, there are many people who are living vibrantly within this situation. And also, even if they do get the coronavirus, they have been recovering in record speed. And Master Okawa, the founder of Happy Science, he has been teaching for 30 years. And through these 30 years, so many healing instances have happened. You could even call them miracles. And so many of us here in Happy Science, no matter how long we have been a part of Happy Science, are quite certain, very certain actually, very confident that yes, medical science is doing a tremendous job helping people recover, helping people stay safe. But also, religion from antiquity has healed people as well. And the power with which religion has healed people is still alive and powerful even today. So that's what I would like to share with you. That is what Master Okawa is here to do. If society is able to provide solutions for the problems we are facing, he doesn't go out of his way to interfere. He's okay with that. In fact, his philosophy is the philosophy of self-help. He believes that we should take responsibility and should tackle and resolve and find solutions to the problems we are facing, because that's how we grow. and to actually, and that is Happy Science's answer to why we are even here in this physical plane, where there is a lot of anxiety, a lot of anguish, difficulties, challenges, disappointments, and sorrows, and also pandemics such as this one. It is because the growth that we gain through our experience here in this world, this stays with us eternally. So, from the spirit of self-help, if the coronavirus pandemic is something that humanity can handle on its own, Master Okawa would not interfere. However, humanity has lost a very, very important perspective. And in one word, that is the spiritual perspective. That is the understanding that there is more to life, there is more to this world than what can be perceived through our senses, through our eyes, and with touch. And because of that, humanity is missing key information in order to be able to resolve this coronavirus pandemic. So that is why he has been speaking out so fervently. In fact, the coronavirus, the first case was reported early December. Master Okawa, through his 6 divine powers, including clairvoyance, being able to see places, perhaps like even on the other side of the globe, without him being physically there, and many other spiritual powers, has been doing spiritual messages and revealed that the coronavirus first built in December 8th. But since then, he has been giving so many spiritual messages. If you can see, this is not all of it, but all of these are the spiritual messages that Master Okawa has given, spiritual messages and lectures himself, in order to provide us with timely information about the scope of the pandemic, what we can do, how we can heal ourselves, and what is to come. Do we have a future? The answer is yes. So the question is, how do we build that brighter future? How do we get ourselves through this? Master Okawa is already providing all these answers. So today I would like to, there is so much to share. Today I would like to focus on helping you to believe more strongly that yes, God is not dead, God is alive, and God is saving, and that when you pray to him, yes, you are healed. You can be healed. You can receive life-giving energy, and you will feel stronger. Also, your immune system, the white blood cells in your immune system will become extraordinarily active and eat up all the viruses, malignant viruses in your body. That is how you can recover. And when you recover, you can be an inspiration to others, to show them, to help them feel that maybe I have a chance at recovering too. Really, fear and despair probably undermines our immune system more than even the virus. But if people can hold on to hope, and not just hope, but confidence that they can get better, then the virus is just a really tiny thing. It's a protein that isn't even able to reproduce itself unless it is a parasite. Works as a parasite on other people. So it needs a host, a living thing, a human being, an animal, and feeds on there because it's really a protein with only a smattering of DNA, according to one of the spiritual messages that Master Okawa is giving. He is helping us understand the science behind this as well. And, well, scientists probably know this. This is probably basic information for them. But for the rest of us, where we didn't really pursue biology after college. Anyhow, I think it's very important to understand that the virus is a tiny thing, and the human body and ourselves is much, much stronger than we think. We do have the ability to shoo this out. So let's take a look at how we do that. All right. So first of all, I understand that, especially in the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people whose immune system are compromised, such as from old age or a pre-existing medical condition, like an illness they already have, such as asthma or diabetes, or they have a disability, were especially vulnerable to the coronavirus. Now, more people, it's not just those whose immune systems are compromised, are also succumbing to the coronavirus. But as you can see, I personally know a woman whose mother in her late 60s with asthma, diabetes, anxiety, depression, past case of pneumonia, recovered enough to leave the hospital from coronavirus after a week. Another man that I know, a man in his 60s, previously recovered from 2 collapsed lungs, also recovered enough to leave the hospital after a week. You might feel that if your immune system is compromised, if you fall into that group of people who are said to be vulnerable to the coronavirus, you might feel that when you do catch it, it's the end, that there's no fighting back. Or the idea of contracting it could be terrifying you into paralysis, where you are paralyzed from fear. Well, I would like to let you know that it's not just your physical body that determines whether you can recover or not. There is another factor at play. Yes, our tendency is to treat the human body like a machine that is unfixable once it's broken or affected. Doctors believe that since the human body will not return to its former state, care must be taken to not damage it further. They treat the body in a similar way to changing the parts of a machine and think only about replacing damaged parts. We're not saying this view is bad. Like I said, medical science has made great progress in being able to heal an increasing number of injuries and illnesses. But what I'd like to explain to you today is the idea that you have zero control over whether you will contract the virus, that you have zero control over whether you can recover from it once you contract it, and that you can only lie on the hospital bed and hope that the medical treatment you are receiving will improve your immune system. These thoughts are not true. Why is that? Well, illness and setbacks, this is a very good time for us to stop and think about life, this life that we have been given. And who are we really? And what is this world? And is there a God? And if there is, what sort of God is he? In The Laws of the Sun in 1986, Master Okawa put out into the world the truth of the universe, the eternal truth that humanity has been forever seeking for. Yes, there has been saints and prophets and great guiding spirits of light who have revealed pieces of this truth, and that has sustained and nurtured humanity up to this point. But the truth revealed on this scale is unprecedented, and yet it is written in such a simple way. In it, he poses the question, if life were finite, and if you, an individual with a name that was given you by your parents, become nothing when you die, leaving behind just a handful of ashes and some bones after being cremated, with all else vanishing into the air as carbon dioxide and water vapor, then why do you bother to put so much effort into living your life? Why do you study and go through hardships? Why have you been deepening your understanding of life or pursuing your dreams? Up until now, perhaps this question of what is life, what's the meaning of it, might have crossed your mind. I'm sure it has, but most probably, and this is the case for 99.9% of us, we fail to find answers to it. We are often disappointed in our pursuit of answers for this, and life gets really busy. We don't have the time to sit and ponder about this. We hit the ground running the moment we're born. We have to go to school, then there's friends, and then there's dreams and goals, and then you get involved in relationships, and then you have to work and you have to feed yourself, and now you're with family. You have to feed your family, you have to feed your kids, you have to look out for your kids, and then before you know it, you're in your latter half of your life, and now you have to make sure that you're saved and prepared for retirement. And so life can just zoom past you so quickly without you getting the chance to really ponder this important question of what is life, what is the meaning of it, why are you here, and why do you want to stay alive? Fortunately, this life and our existence here in this world, we have not just been thrown haphazardly into this world to try to fend for ourselves. We are actually very much guided and looked over. So, as we explore life, we will inevitably encounter Buddha's guidance at some point, or God's guidance at some point. This is prepared for all of us. And some of us may have already experienced that. Maybe we had a life-threatening accident in the past. Maybe a loved one passed away. Or maybe this coronavirus pandemic is your moment, your time. The opportunities to get to know Buddha's teachings, God's teachings, are scattered everywhere in life. The moments of birth and death are the greatest opportunities, but Buddha shows glimpses of his very being at other times as well, such as when you are ill, in love, or are suffering setbacks. In those moments, in our sutra, it says, you hear Buddha's words. Listen, people. Birth, aging, illness, and death are the truth. But there is a sword to cut through your suffering. That is the power of enlightenment. If you become egoless, you will see that your physical body is not you, that your worldly desires are not you. If you become void, you will see that the Spirit is the source of all things, and that this world is only temporary. Your belief in Buddha is the royal road to salvation. That was from a sutra that you receive when you become a devotee of happy science. And the sutra is called Words of Wisdom, Buddha's Enlightenment. What this is saying is that we are given moments in our life in which we awaken to the reality that this world is only a small part of a vaster, far vaster universe, a wonderful universe. In the Laws of Steel, Master Okawa says, up until now, you may only have been able to perceive yourself as a human in a body, but you will begin to see a different self. For example, the self that once lived in the heavenly world, the self that has soul siblings, or how you have incarnated time and again from the other world to this one and find your soulmates in this world. This world is truly fantastic. From now on, new evidence will come out one after another to show that it is such a world that has been created. The very fact that we are living on Earth will feel like we are living in a time of magic. To be able to discover this is one of the moments our life radiates, as Master Okawa says in the Laws of the Sun. And so, if you are sitting at home terrified of the coronavirus, if you are laying in the hospital bed trying to fight for your life, well, you, in your heart, can take a moment to close your eyes and reach out to the greater universe, to your guardian angels, to the angels around you, and to God. And they are there, so you will hear a response. But I'm sure you're still dubious, so I'll continue. You must be wondering, have I seen that for myself? Well, actually, I've actually felt it, actually many times. In the beginning, I was your typical liberal teenager. I was educated on the West Coast in California, and religion was definitely not part of the school curriculum. My mom was religious, but I was very kind of like condescending in my view of her. I thought that she was a little naive, not very logical in her thinking, not very rational in what she was telling me about guardian spirits and, God and praying and setbacks being good for me, or that I could be more than I thought I was, that I could be greater. There was a lot more potential in me. When I was 16, I didn't see it. But Master Okawa's teachings are very practical, so even if you are a non-believer, well, you can, in my case, in my house, the books were lying around. They're also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. There's also a lot of materials online, such as here. Oh, wait, I'll show you later. And teachings like, the true nature of love is to give without expecting anything in return. Or, jealousy is an emotion you feel towards people that you are actually wanting to be like. Those people whom you are feeling jealousy towards are actually people who embody your own ideal. These teachings really opened my eyes and made me think, I need to contemplate on this. I need to try to practice this maybe. Let me try to apply it in my friendships, because I want to see the change. I want to stop always just waiting and hoping that somebody will reach out and say hi to me, and maybe start a friendship. Instead, if I wanted friends, I should be the one to step out of my comfort zone and give love and not worry about rejection, because it will happen. I mean, everybody is entitled to their own likes and dislikes, opinions about you. You can't change that, just as you have your own opinions about other people. But still, if you are, I was forever kind of in my shell, and that was getting me nowhere. So these teachings kind of gave me that nudge that I needed. And then it taught me that when I change the way I think, then my surroundings truly change. The people around me, they change the way they react to me. They change the way they perceive me, interact with me. And many other things started to change. So that got me rolling. That's how I started to gain more interest in learning what other things Master Okawa had to say, what more what more transformative teachings were there. And soon I came to a point where I realized that I wanted to be honest and stop pretending like I thought that maybe faithful people with a religion, maybe were, I'm so sorry, I hope nobody gets offended in saying this, but I'm just Sorry, I do repent thinking this way, but I kind of felt that people in religion were not very smart. Well, I was just looking at my mom, so please forgive me for that. And I've already like made amends with this, with my mom too. So, but at the same time, I was also trying to protect myself. It was self-preservation at work. I was also trying to not appear not smart by embracing my desire. My first it was an interest, but then soon it became a desire to truly want to believe. And it came to a head one day when the shell I had created for me, where I wanted to pretend to be that rational, sane person, or in other words, more in a teenager's words, look cool and be accepted by society. That shell I had created to be that, it finally broke. And when it broke, the light I felt sitting in the prayer hall of a Happy Science temple in front of an Alcantara statue, I can still remember to this day. It was overwhelming. It made me think, my goodness, I wonder if this is how a baby feels like in a mother's womb, because you feel so safe, feel so fully embraced, you feel so loved. Every part of you is completely loved. You are just left astonished, and you just want to stay in that space. That was my first experience, but it was followed by many, many more, and it has intensified, and the frequency has increased, and also the length that it continues has increased. And so today, 12 or so years later, of course I have many other reasons why I feel completely convinced that what Master Okawa is saying is true, that the spirit world is real, that you are a soul, that you being here in this physical world is only a temporary sojourn. Nothing can truly harm you, because you can all turn all of that into nourishment, including your coronavirus experience. All of this can be turned into nourishment, truly. This is absolute conviction in me. And so this confidence I want to share with everyone. I wish for everyone to have. And most importantly, I wish for everyone to be able to feel loved by God, because it completes you in a way nothing else really can. And it is the key to help you become someone who can truly live for others. I am straying so far from my PowerPoint. I don't know which slide to show you, but oh well. Well, let's see. I want to share with you this piece. It's also from The Laws of the Sun. The Laws of the Sun, again, is a wonderful book. It describes how and why the primordial God, primordial Buddha, or here at Happy Science we call the primordial Buddha Alcantara. It describes how Alcantara created the universe and human life. In a nutshell, creation was a process in which the higher dimensional beings created lower dimensional beings. What this means is that everything in this world is an expression of the primordial Buddha's will. And that means that the primordial Buddha, or God, the creator, whoever you have been praying to, or your parents have been praying to all your life, this existence is not something that exists outside of you, but is a high-level consciousness that is at the base and core of your existence. That means that there is a pipe connecting you to this primordial Buddha. And through this pipe, as long as you can remove whatever shell or rain cloud you have created over yourself, blocking the light, as long as you can remove that, the light will come into you. You will feel it. I want to skip a few and show you this. Wrong side. So those who are still skeptical about faith, Master Okawa says in The Royal Road of Life that the act of belief exists in us. It's actually a part of our instinct. This allows us to imagine God and the world of his creation through the great saints he dispatched to this world on earth again and again to convey his words, perform miracles, and let many people experience otherworldly existences. Through these saints, God showed people how to live as God would. To believe in things which you can actually see and touch is not possible. You can only confirm their existence. But things that are invisible require a heart of belief. And when you're able to believe in them, you become released from the material way of life and can become aware of the existence of the higher heavenly world. Earlier, Yushi showed you a video depicting the structure of the spirit world, of Earth existing as a physical place, and then the rest of it being heaven, and hell being just a very small area. Well, just as I explained earlier, in the laws of the sun, it says that everything is an expression of Buddha's will, meaning will is spirit, it is energy, it is not physical. The only place that's physical is this third dimensional world. We're in a different plane, so it's very hard to experience what exists as reality in the rest of the dimensions in this multidimensional universe. So that's why God is invisible to us. That's why spiritual things like even love is a spiritual thing. That's why you can't capture it, put it in a box and show it to somebody. But through the act of believing, you can transcend this dimension. You can leave this physical dimension and enter into the spiritual dimensions. That is how you can feel it. But you have to believe, because you have to transcend. Saying that, though, this physical world is still an extension of the spiritual world, because again, this world too is an expression of the primordial Buddha's will. And because we're talking about healing, I want us to talk about the body, the physical body. So if you, at the very back, there is a yellow, whitish, golden, I would like to call it, light. And that is you as a manifestation of Buddha's will. That is you in your purest form. That is your core. That is what we call Buddha nature. And that Buddha nature has every aspect of Buddha or God that you can imagine. Every good thing, wisdom, love, compassion, forgiveness, courage, everything. Also, it has the ability to create, because the primordial Buddha, with his will, created everything tangible, even in this physical universe. Because we are a part of that will, because we are a fragment of light, of God's light, we also have a creative power. And how do we exert that? By the thoughts we think, because will is thought, and what you think is what you are. That age-old saying, that is so much more truer than you can ever imagine. Now, but of course, in this physical world, I'm sure you're thinking, well, no, I can't think that I am 20 years younger and immediately be that way. Yes, you're right. There are different, it's a little harder to do that, because in order to be in this physical world, we are residing in a physical body, which is the image that you're seeing at the very front. But the core part actually has many layers around it. The first layer being consciousness, and then second being the spirit, the third being the soul, and around that, oh, by the way, the mind is the center of the soul, and around that is the astral body, which contains the spiritual counterparts of your physical body, including your organs, and then your physical body. So, it is a mistake to think that there is a physical body apart from the spirit body. This physical body is, in fact, the spirit body manifested in an extremely solidified state. However, still, this reigns true. Your body has a creator, and this creator is none other than your soul. It is your mind that creates your body. If you, the creator, is trying to destroy his or her own home, then that home can never be great. Conversely, if you wish to make your home marvelous, productive, bright, and positive for the mind and soul, then the body will transform accordingly on a daily basis. And so, why do we get sick then? It's because of our disbelief, or maybe the resentment and hatred that we might hold, or the ideas that we are inferior or not worthy. These things that we think, because we don't understand the truth, that are disharmonious with the way the universe truly is. They create rain clouds, basically, over our heads. It's the dark area that you are seeing. This forms in our mind, in our heart. These start as thoughts that we have, thoughts such as, I don't deserve to be here. That thought, if you hold on to it long enough, then it will manifest on the astral body, which is the spiritual counterpart of your physical body. And if that is there long enough, then your physical body will start to ail as well. I would like to show you an excerpt from Master Okawa's lecture, How to Increase Your Immunity. And this is a 5-minute lecture. In it, he talks about how you can receive light. And when you are living as truly who you really are, a child of God, which has the potential to become like an angel of light, living for other people, thinking of other people 24/7, thinking about how to serve them. You're also trying to understand God more, so you're on the path of spiritual training. You're trying to attain enlightenment. Then you are on a different wavelength than of something like the coronavirus, which is something that is trying to hurt, trying to affect your immune system so that you can't live for a very long time. It's trying to make you fall ill. It's trying to bring death to you. This is very different thoughts, and that's how you can be completely immune to it, by really working on changing your thoughts to be in this bright, positive, constructive way. And this way of thinking also allows you to connect to heaven, because heaven is that bright, harmonious, loving, compassionate place, always thinking about how to make the lives of the people here on earth better. And that connection allows you to receive God's light. But towards the end of this lecture, this excerpt, Master Okawa talks about what you need. He addresses these thoughts that we all have. Some people kind of take offense that happy science may be implying that people who are sick are evil. No, not at all. These thoughts that can cloud our Buddha nature and prevent us from receiving God's life energy to help us be stronger, to fight back any illness. These are what most people think are ordinary, normal to have. But Master Okawa is trying to change that. He's saying that, well, that's actually not your true nature. You don't need to think in that way. In fact, it's better that you try to change that and replace it with something more positive.
In a religious sense, it's the kind of people who have an aura. It might be a little difficult to understand, But an aura is like the halo of light coming out from the back of a Buddha statue. This disc behind me is made to look like a halo. It's golden, and it emanates from people who have attained a certain level of enlightenment, or people who are striving to attain enlightenment, or people who want to give love to the people of the world, not to take love. People who think it's better to give love, or people who always live with goodwill. These people emit light, like a power generator. People with spiritual sight can see light coming from people's shoulders, or another bigger light coming from behind the head. I've said this before, but back when I used to work at a company, whenever I was tired, I would go to the toilet when there were no people, look into the mirror, and call to a high spirit inside my mind, saying, "So-and-so, please give me light." I would pray like this for a short time, and then a pillar of light would descend from above my head. In the mirror, I could see a cylinder of light, probably because I have spiritual sight. When you are influenced by evil spirits, or your mind is distressed and hurt, or you are in despair or feeling down, you can inject light into yourself and create a halo, and it works like fuel. You can revive your energy. I used to do this. You can ask for light from heaven. For people who don't know how to control their minds yet, this means that you do the opposite of what you think is hellish. So be cheerful, be lively, be positive, be affirmative, and think constructively. If you find yourself only looking at other people's negative side and saying bad things about others, do the opposite. You should think, maybe that person has a good side too. He said harsh things to me, but maybe there's an element of truth in it. Maybe there's something I need to fix in myself. Maybe he is justified in saying those things to me. Thinking like this will make those needles and nails stuck inside you fall out.
Today we have a video message from Annette, our book ambassador here at Happy Science New York, and she has read the book, The Origin of Love, and she talks about compassion. I think this is really something that we all know how to do. We all know we need to be doing more of it. It's just that we are kind of pulled away from it because maybe our past track record has been us not being compassionate when we should have. And so our confidence in being able to be compassionate is not so great, or maybe we feel embarrassed too because our personality is no longer that type of person who's compassionate, and so we feel like we're kind of stepping out of character. But for yourself, the more you give, the more you try to think of others, the more you overcome the human instinct, or in other words, the animal instinct, to think of yourself first, to be so afraid of what might harm you that you're always thinking about yourself and you have no room in your head for others. Or animals are always very afraid, because they could be eaten at any moment. So, they're right to be afraid, but their state of mind, Master Okawa is pointing out, is more directed towards self-preservation. It's more about the self. And also the other thing they're thinking about is food. Human beings, yes, you can call them animals, but what Master Okawa is saying here is that within this physical body is a fragment of God's light. And that being your true nature, because this physical body, when you actually die and pass over to the other world, you will no longer have. So you will not need to think about self-preservation anymore. You won't have to think about eating anymore, because you don't have to eat or sleep in the other world. And if you are able to return to heaven, there's nothing that will harm you. So you'll discover that your true state is one who is always, happy and wanting other people to be happy, because their happiness is also your happiness. There's no separation between you and others. You're all, connected. That's what you will discover to be truth. And so we want to remember that and be able to live like that. In doing so, overcome our animalistic tendency to live more nobly, to live more like a human being. So let's watch Annette's video message.
Hi, my name is Annette, and I am the book ambassador for New York Temple. For today, I am going to be talking about The Origin of Love for this week. It is such a beautiful book to discover more about how Master looks at love through the lens of God and spirituality. For today, I'm going to talk about two major points that does touch upon this book in relation to today's circumstances, dealing with the coronavirus, and how as a society and how as Happy Science see this whole coronavirus issue and how to be productive during these times. Two biggest things to really consider is that right now we're in an interesting time, how we are living a very interesting time of what compassion and seeing what compassion really means. We see both incredible sides of the spectrum when we think about compassion. The positive side of compassion we're seeing is that people are donating lots of money to these hospitals, and there are businesses trying to get these hospitals materials and anything that they need to make sure that doctors and nurses have everything that they need to help the patients that are suffering from the coronavirus. And then we're seeing the other side of it is people hoarding materials, hoarding masks, hoarding gloves, hoarding toilet paper, or any essential materials that people are looking for. People are taking way too much that they unnecessarily need and put other people in a weird position of, well, I need this thing, but then I can't find it, and then I have to travel and all sorts of places to find it. So we're seeing the lack of compassion as well. So through this book, I want to express that this is the time to really think about how much compassion you've been giving to people around you or people that you know in your mind. What does this mean? Compassion means you are somebody who you're willing to let go of your own needs and wants for another person's needs and wants. So it could be something as small as praying for someone's health. You're not thinking about yourself, but I guarantee you, even that small prayer for another person, that will make your heart bigger. For you to even give some of your materials to another person and share with another person because you found out they were lacking, that's also a sign of compassion. This is an important moment in human history where we need to push ourselves to be more compassionate than ever. And it doesn't have to just be financial compassion. Not everyone has the means of it right now, but the thoughts in your heart are the most important ways you can share this compassion to another person. If small as praying for someone's health, you're not thinking about yourself. But I guarantee you, even that small prayer for another person, that will make your heart bigger. For you to even give some of your materials to another person and share with another person because you found out they were lacking, that's also a sign of compassion. This is an important moment in human history where we need to push ourselves to be more compassionate than ever. And it doesn't have to just be financial compassion. Not everyone has the means of it right now, but the thoughts in your heart are the most important ways you can share this compassion to another person. If you are in a situation that's not ideal and you're dealing with a lot of problems, you need to pause and think about, if you're thinking about yourself too much, then take a moment to think about somebody else. And I guarantee you, it's going to make your life just a little bit better because you took a moment to think about someone else besides yourself. I've done this when I've been struggling. I've definitely had to switch my mind from thinking too much about myself and my problems and thinking about someone else. And once I thought about somebody else, I kind of forgot what I was suffering from, or it makes my suffering less of a problem. And my last point is the oneness of God. This is also an important time in human history where we have to think about these little actions, these little thoughts, how we're connecting ourselves to God on a daily basis. Every time you choose to make your heart bigger, you're actually going to be much more open to what your mission as a child of God is. You're going to know this, you're going to discover this, but you have to choose this path, whether it's to pray, whether it's to meditate, whether it's to deepen your knowledge, any of these things. When you choose to open your heart to the possibilities of life, you're going to open your path and feel much more closer to God. And that's the most beautiful thing that we can gain from this situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annette. I'd like to read from the Laws of the Sun about love. Love is a great river. It is a power that flows from the upper reaches downstream without ever stopping. It is life with a momentum that nothing can resist. Love has no enemies. Once you actually see the spiritual panorama of the great river of love, you will clearly know that nothing can stand against love. God is love, and we too, as a child of God, our true nature is love, loving without expecting anything in return, without wanting anything in return, loving simply because we are so grateful for everything that we have already been given, and we just want to give back and share. That is our true nature. That brings us the greatest happiness. But as Annette has pointed out, it is hard to do when we are in moments of in distress. However, this world where there are many adversities, illness, poverty, setbacks, heartbreaks, so many distresses and sorrows. Well, why are we here in this physical world where there are so many adversities? Why did we leave the comfortable, wonderful place of heaven to be here? It's because when we can make the choice to live a life of giving, despite these distresses, then our soul grows. And in growing, the more we acquire the habit of thinking and acting like Buddha, if that's the direction our soul grows in, then our mind, our soul will emit greater light because we become further one with God, with the primordial Buddha. Most people become obsessed with their love for themselves. All they can think is how miserable they are, and they become desperate for the sympathy of others. But the problem is that no one ever gives them enough. At such times, straighten your back and look up at the open sky. People who are in the midst of worry and on the receiving end of negative spiritual influences generally hunch close to the ground, turn their backs on the sun, and gaze only at their own shadows. As long as they do this, they will never be able to see the light. So stand tall, turn your face to the sun, and stretch your body. This is an expression of your love for God. Do not always concentrate on the tiny being that is you, but turn toward God and embrace feelings of gratitude. You need to realize the vastness of the love that you have been given. And remember that although you may be unhappy now, in the long term, you will understand that what is happening is not really so very serious. In actual fact, the experience is providing you with nourishment for further progress. I would like to close or begin closing by going over with you a section from the Laws of Future. And then, aside from shifting our way of thinking so that it is more in tune with who we truly are as children of God, so that it is more in tune with heaven, more in tune with God, and therefore are able to receive life-giving energy to experience healing, to experience maybe even cancer disappearing, such as this woman who had cancer in her lung that was about 7 centimeters across. 4 months later, the cancer disappeared. What did she do? She reflected and she realized that she held on to resentment towards her father since childhood. But the memory that made her feel that her father didn't like her was actually him suffering from tuberculosis and throwing a stick at her because he was warning her not to come near, because she could contract it. Also, even though the chemotherapy, even though the cancer, after disappearing, reappeared again, this time in her brain as a 3 centimeter large tumor, she knew that miracles could happen already by this time. And she just felt so grateful to just be alive. She was fine with leaving, but because she still had life, she wanted to use it for others. And so while she was in the hospital, she just spent all her time sharing the truth with others, encouraging them to believe that they can get better too. 6 months later, her tumor disappeared. Another person, this man, experienced a miracle through somebody else believing strongly in the power of these teachings. His employer was a very, very devout Happy Science member who was trying to spread the Happy Science teachings to all of his employees, despite maybe their kind of misgivings in the beginning. But when this man had an accident at a construction site, when a 3.5-inch nail pierced itself, 2 of them pierced itself into his forehead, through prayer and through the belief of the Happy Science employer that he is going to be okay. 2 weeks later, he was conscious, and a couple months later, he was back at work. So, I hope that I have somewhat persuaded you to be more open to faith, and also if you already have faith, to be more keen in learning the teachings, to practice self-reflection on a greater scale, also practice the principle of love on a greater scale, and also it is said that in addition to those two things, in healing illness, the other things that work is positive thinking and meditation. Let us expand this confidence more by listening to Master Okawa's teachings in the Laws of Future. And then the other way to connect to heaven was through reciting the sutra. So we will recite true words spoken by Buddha, and then after that, we will receive healing light directly from Master Okawa through the Golden Butter meditation. I hope that you receive an incredible sense of reassurance, peace, and energy and strength from your confidence that, yes, you are meant to be here. Yes, you are capable of great things. Yes, you can be a part of building a brighter future in this world. That, in fact, is why you are here. And so let go of any negative thinking that has convinced you otherwise. Regain that confidence, regain that passion and mission, and restore your health. When you change your thoughts to be something new and wonderful, these will then be transmitted to your nerves and blood. The red and white blood cells, as well as the lymphocytes in your blood, are charged with a powerful spiritual life force to perform their activities on a daily basis. The type of thoughts you transmit determines their behavior. They will fight viruses and other harmful things within you, expelling them from your body. They will be weeded out. Use the power of faith to generate bright and powerful thoughts. You shall be healthier. You shall be fit. You shall never be ill. Your power is limitless, and a new power will continuously well up from within you. Be one with the great light of heaven. Focus strongly and unwaveringly on being one with that light. Your future will change by doing so. You may have experienced various failures in the past. You may regret them from time to time. Perhaps you suffered setbacks as a human being. You may have countless worries. In this world, it may appear as if you have been defeated in minor struggles. However, in the real world, the parent of your soul has never given you defeat. You are always victorious. You will always find a positive meaning in all of your experiences. You are turning all of your experiences into nourishment for the soul. You are converting experience into wisdom. As a new weapon, you are using this wisdom in your activities for the sake of the future and human society. You will be challenged with many more trials, but you must realize that these trials do not arise to cause you harm. They occur to train you. These tribulations come your way to make you one level stronger. They will propel you into a higher state. In order to transform you into a living bodhisattva, into a living tathagata, a living angel, a variety of dramas are born. You must battle numerous adversities and tribulations in this world. Fight hard for the sake of the future. You must wish, I will open up a new future, not only for my own sake, but for God's sake, for Buddha's sake, for the sake of my fellow humans, with Buddha nature, for the sake of the future of humankind, and for the sake of the world. The road to victory is open before you. Walk straight along this great road. Walk straight along this road of light with all your might, and go as far as it leads. You will surely be victorious in life. Let us think about this 8 billion people in this world. This planet is capable of sustaining 10 billion people, and we must make it so. The path towards it is not just a materialistic, atheistic way of thinking where everyone only relies on science and technology to help them understand better what is the way to greater happiness for the greatest number of people. But it is a world where science and technology goes hand in hand with a new religion, a new spirituality that knows that this world is a training ground for every living thing here, and that any trial and tribulation can only lead to greater wisdom and add to this world, to this universe. Each one of us here listening to this seminar are the very ones who have been given, are the very ones that can make that future possible. So with that in mind, let us recite the true words spoken by Buddha. I'm sorry that we have gone over by a full 30 minutes, but I hope that you were able to feel so much warmth and light from that meditation as I did. Master Okawa, as I said, is here giving many spiritual messages and lectures and helping people realize that God, whether humanity has called it Allah or Buddha or the Father of Jesus Christ or any other name that they have used to refer to the parent of their soul, the Creator God, that existence is real, and each and every living human being is precious because we are a child of that existence. However, right now, that perspective is lost a lot, and also a lot of political systems are based on the lack of understanding of why each and every human life is precious. Because that perspective is lacking in a country like China, we have a government called the Communist Party, Chinese Communist Party, and they are regulating publishing, suppressing speech and information, monitoring with police, even the contents of the internet, and citizens are arrested without valid reason. Also, through the spiritual messages, Master Okawa has revealed that the coronavirus is a biological weapon created in the Wuhan Center of Virology. The media today have finally started to talk about investigating the center, yet they still insist that it is naturally occurring. But soon the word will come out that it was man-made. However, in saying this, we are not trying to hate on the Chinese people. The Chinese people, they need to be liberated as well from this atheistic, materialistic, wrong perspective that is allowing the ruling party to think that a totalitarian, controlling kind of government will work and might even be better than a democracy, which they criticize as being too messy. But a democracy is based on the idea that each person is a child of God. That's why their opinion is precious. So if there are democratic countries that have lost that perspective, why each opinion, each person in their country is important, then that needs to be corrected in their countries as well. And also, another issue that Master Okawa feels needs to be addressed is the conflict between people who do have faith. They are fighting amongst each other over who is right or over many wrongs that have been done to them in the past years. Going back into history, many years of religious conflicts. That resentment, that hatred needs to be let go of. But to do that, it needs to be addressed on a God level, because how do you speak to someone and explain how the God they think is right and then somebody else's God they think is false, or even the devil is actually the same entity. You need a lot of power, you need a lot of wisdom to be able to do that. But that is exactly what Master Okawa is doing. And thirdly, going back to how I was saying about the population growing from 8 billion to 10 billion, each and every soul, it is precious that they are able to go through their own unique soul training. So for this earth to continue to be able to be that ground of soul training is very important. However, soon Master Okawa is also noting that seeing the locust plague traveling from Africa into the Middle East and into China, he is warning us that soon we will see a food shortage in addition to the recession that will be actually, unless we handle it properly, greater than the 1929 Great Depression because of the lockdowns that a lot of countries are putting. So he is saying we are going to face a lot of issues, but these crises are not happening for crises' sake. This is an opportunity for us to reassess our way of thinking. If there is anything that has been creating more unhappiness than happiness, that we need to change. And Master Okawa is giving us the materials to do exactly that. And he is also showing us that we are able to overcome this food shortage with our ingenuity. Each person is able to do that. We are able to create more businesses, new industries, also resolve religious conflicts, no matter how old they may be, how long they may be, and also reintroduce the idea that God is real and each human being is precious because we are a child of God, thereby changing political systems, societal systems, social systems as well. This is all possible, and he's making it possible through educating us. So that is why I truly believe that he is who he says he is, the Savior, the core consciousness of El Cantara, who is the God of the earth, who sent all the founding high spirits of all the world religions in this world, and also who is involved in the creation of life in all this in this great universe as well, including the many planets out there. This, again, is unprecedented. I understand that a lot of people might kind of snort at this idea, and I was in their position as well, but the truth will only shine more brilliantly as truth over time. So I hope that there will be more people who take the chance of believing in this, and yes, because believing is the only way you can experience it. I'll be very honest with that. But the books are available for you to explore. But I hope that you will be one of those people who take the chance to try to believe this. Please do not wait to see these calamities happening. Please, be one of those who prevent these calamities from happening. So with that, I would like to end. If you are in dire need for protection against the coronavirus, we do have many materials such as this prayer for defeating the infection of novel coronavirus originated in China. And those who would like to know more about the coronavirus spiritual truths that Master Okawa is revealing, this book is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble as well. Also, the miraculous stories of healing that I showed, and also there's a man who actually saw the spirit world and really experienced it in a lot of detail and depth. These videos are available on Happy Science New York, our YouTube channel, and you will also find a lot of Master Okawa's teachings there as well. These are available publicly, so I hope that you will listen to them at home or in the hospital bed and really feel their magic work on you. So I will, please don't leave yet. Yushi still has a word to say. He would like to share something with you. But that is all from me. Thank you very much for staying with me.
All right, thank you, Ari, for the wonderful spiritual logic behind all of this. It was extremely persuasive, and thank you all for joining. I hope that this seminar will help you to bridge yourself to a deeper faith. If you were not faithful to begin with, we will continue providing proofs that the spiritual world exists, and that's what the modern greatest savior, Master Ryu Okawa, is doing with this spiritual message series. But today, to conclude, I just wanted to show you that you can receive this sutra, the true words spoken by Buddha, by becoming a student member. It's just a one-time $10 suggested donation. You receive this sutra and also 2 prayers. It's prayer to the Lord and prayer to guardian and guiding spirits. And these are extremely helpful prayer books to protect you and to increase your immunity. And we will continue providing you with these spiritual weapons that will help you increase your faith to become immune and strong against this virus, and so that you can be on the force of light, the force of God, so that you can spread compassion, as our book ambassador Annette said, to the world. This concludes today's Sunday service. Thank you all for joining, and we will have another service next Sunday from 1 o'clock regarding healing and self-help. We hope you tune in. Thank you all so much.